term injury prone is thrown around a lot these days, but today, Chris and I are going to be looking at players that really got creative in taking this phrase to a whole new level.
We basically could record this video where 90% of the content is Theo Baker.
To start with, we're going to go with a fairly recent incident involving Lacazette.
Alexandre Lacazette, am I right?
I think this is just after he'd left Arsenal to go back to Lyon. Lacazette ended up missing a friendly game because of multiple wasp stings. Like, how do you get stung so badly that you have to, like, miss an actual game of football?
Depends where he was stung, I suppose. Could have been on the todger.
I just love this. Lacazette, 31, was stung multiple times in the forest around Lyon's hotel in... I'm not going to try and pronounce that. What was Lacazette doing having a nice forest stroll before a friendly? Like, what was he doing out there?
Maybe he was stung on the dodger. Talksport said, L'Equipe revealed the former Arsenal striker could miss the clash after he was set upon by wasps in a Dutch forest. That sounds like someone's unleashed them at him.
You've heard of fans letting off fireworks outside team hotels. We've not had wasp strike before.
Oh, stung 10 times by wasps. Wow, that's quite a lot to be fair.
Where should we stick Lacazette here for his wasp attack?
I think silly sausage. And it might have been a sore sausage if our concerns were right. Oh, Ollie, I've just spotted that your last video's hit 28k.
I can confirm after 3 long weeks it is finally an 8 out of 10.
Come on, Christmas come early. No, seriously guys, if you haven't seen Ollie's last video, it genuinely is a really good video and it absolutely stunk. So please check it out. The people that have watched it have said they have enjoyed it a lot. Emery and Klopp get into a fist fight with the latter gaining the upper hand as Emery fights his hero.
It was probably the most fun Chris and I have ever had making a video, so please watch it. It's good, I promise. Next up, I'm going to throw in an incident that really could happen to anyone.
Brilliant.
So, Mark Shelton, a Hartlepool midfielder, managed to miss a game because he stuck a cotton bud too far in his ear.
Boss Graham Lee said Mark's had a cotton bud in his ear that has gone in too far. He's gone to the hospital, sounds like the tweezers have gone in too far and he's dizzy and can't stand up. Oh, because obviously with your ears it has to do with your balance. At least that's like actually kind of understandable why he might not be able to play football.
To be fair, I bet that felt absolutely amazing up until he delved too greedily and too deep. I reckon that's probably an oof.
Yeah, I'm happy with oof.
Let's just go with a truly iconic one next. It is quite simply Lasagna Gate.
Whoopsie.
What? What? I hadn't realised just how much of an impact this had had.
Yeah, this was humongous. So yeah, this cost them place in the Champions League, final day of the season. It's literally like half their team, I seem to remember.
Lasagna and spaghetti bolognese were on the menu. We ate, and then in the middle of the night, we started dropping like flies, reflected Jermaine Genius. It was mayhem. I'm just imagining the Spurs team hotel becoming Until Dawn, just because of this lasagna.
Timu Tainio, another player who'd been affected, would later describe it as the biggest disappointment of his career. If that was traumatic for him, just imagine what it was like for the White Hart Lane cleaning staff. Oh my god, a sample of the lasagna was taken and an investigation was launched. But 10 days later, the Health Protection Agency cleared the London Marriott Hotel of blame. Oh, rather than food poisoning, the investigation found that norovirus had been the root of the outbreak. Wow, so they had norovirus. I did not know that.
That makes it a lot less funny.
Like, it's so much funnier to imagine that it was just a budding Arsenal fan in the chef's room. We could say truly inspired for that one.
Even though it wasn't technically the lasagna, I still think for the cultural impact it had, that deserves to go in truly inspired. This next one was actually an injury sustained by a footballer during their childhood. Did you know that Dan Burn only had 9 fingers?
Yeah, I put this in our group chat the other day and everyone was like, nah, that's like a myth. No, he genuinely has 9 fingers. Yeah, because he got it stuck in a fence, right? Horrifying incident occurred when he was 13, when he was wearing a ring, climbing a fence when it got caught on a spike. Attempted to keep going, his 3rd finger on his right hand ripped off.
How do you do this with so much force that your finger comes off? Like, fingers aren't supposed to detach.
It's quite cool seeing someone's hand with 9 fingers, isn't it? I mean, obviously I see it a lot coming from Jersey, but...
I'd probably say somewhere in the middle again.
Oof.
A simple oof for this one. So this one's, I think, a bit of a classic incident.
Oh my days.
So Kevin Kyle was cradling his 8-month-old son when the baby knocked a jug of boiling water onto his lap and scalded his private parts.
Yeah, said he was bad enough to be kept in hospital overnight. That child's probably just ensured that it's not ever gonna have any siblings. What do you think he did? Like, when it happened, do you think he, like, lobbed his child to the other side of the room? Or, like, did he just sit there and his testicles were just burning? I think that is silly sausage because of the connotations on it.
This next one, I just really like it because it's so avoidable.
Darius Vassell and the Electric Drill. Why does that sound like a novel title?
So, troubled by a blister that had surfaced between the nail on his big toe, Darius did what any self self-respecting footballer would do and attempted to drill through the nail in an attempt to drain the fluid from the blister and return to a pain-free existence. Taking the "you can do it if you're being cured" approach to a whole new level, Vassell subsequently picked up a blood infection in the toe and had to have the entire nail removed, missing a few crucial games for Villa in the process. Surely it wouldn't have taken a lot to just go to an actual club doctor and get it fixed like the following morning.
So yeah, I'd have the nail removed. To be fair, silver lining, could sell that for a pretty price to Paul Scholes. I'd go silly sausage, I think, for that one.
Very much one of the more self-inflicted injuries here. This isn't a footballer injury, but I'm still counting it as a football-based injury. The Nantes mascot had to get stretchered off recently after getting tackled by a rival mascot. Just the image of a giant canary being stretchered off a football pitch is quite funny in itself. Have that. And then he goes for an interview afterwards. It's just...
That's like the equivalent of Troy Deeney going on an interview after the Arsenal match and like saying how Arsenal didn't have cojones. I would probably go oof.
So we got another homemade injury up next. This is an ex-Liverpool goalkeeper who apparently was there for 2 years without ever making a single appearance.
His stint on Merseyside was derailed after he dislocated his shoulder when using an ironing board in the months after his arrival. I've got so many questions. First of all, why was he doing the ironing and not a woman? Am I right?
It's been single for a year now. just let him have it. So yeah, everyone seemed to think that the ironing board had like fallen on him, but it turns out he'd actually already dislocated the shoulder in training and he was kind of in the recovery phase. But then when he was lifting up the ironing board, the shoulder just popped out.
I think that could be forgettable, to be fair, because the injury is not technically even down to the ironing board.
This injury features Santiago Canizares. Canizares, at the age of 32, had just established himself as Spain's #1, heading into the 2002 World Cup. But then in his hotel room, he managed to smash a bottle of aftershave in the sink. A shard of this aftershave bottle managed to embed itself in his foot, and he had to miss the entire World Cup.
That is a tough day at the office.
I feel like this is what Theo Baker would look like if he could grow it out a little.
Now, there's no way he has that coverage.
I think this one deserves to be in the top 2 tiers, purely because of the impact that the injury had.
I think it goes second. I don't think it can be top. It's not quite comedic enough, I don't think.
So this next one is Alessandro Nesta suffering an injury that would probably be more likely in a YouTuber than a footballer.
Nesta's competitive streak better of him. In an all-night PlayStation session, the Italian ruptured one of the tendons in his left thumb and was out for a month with surgery required. What? I've never heard of that.
This is going to be Sancho's future if things keep going.
Do we believe he was playing PlayStation? An all-night PlayStation session.
Like Giroud was up playing Fortnite with that model in the hotel before Crystal Palace. I reckon that's probably a silly sausage as well.
Yeah, silly sausage. Him and his sausage were probably feeling quite silly after that.
This one's a classic Arsenal incident.
Steve Morrow scored the winning goal at Wembley. Tony Adams attempted to lift the midfielder onto his shoulders but dropped him and broke his arm. Oh my days.
Then he was rushed off to hospital while his teammates went to go pick up the cup. So after scoring the winning goal, he then didn't actually get to lift the trophy or even get a medal because he was taken off to hospital because Tony Adams dropped him.
Tony Adams clearly just didn't like him having the limelight and just shot-putted him off his shoulders.
I think that's truly inspired as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that could be actually. That's quite funny.
This one's a little bit of a 2-for-1 here. There's 2 silly injuries suffered by David James.
God, I forgot that his nickname was Calamity James. That's so harsh.
I mean, he doesn't help himself with some of these injuries, I gotta say.
Okay, the former England keeper managed not 1 but 2 freak injuries, putting his shoulder out while fishing. Oh, that is impressive. And then tweaking his back while reaching for the TV remote.
To be honest, I just particularly like the fishing one. Jeremy Wade come outside. I probably wouldn't put this one very high, I just kind of wanted to include it.
A silly sausage, I think.
Unfortunately, my camera decided to give out on me for no reason yesterday. We left off with Ava Banega and probably the most horrific injury on this entire list. Ava Banega managed to break his leg while filling up his car.
Forgot to pull up the handbrake, started rolling backwards and his leg was trapped between the curb and the moving car.
And it snapped his leg in 2 places. Yeah, I think this is simultaneously the most horrendous and also the most avoidable injury on this list.
Do you think he was improved after his injury? Like, he was playing with a newfound sense of freedom after, you know, like, having a horrific injury and then knowing that nothing can stop him after that. Like, you could say that he was playing without the handbrake on. I'm tempted to say Darwin Award worthy. The broken fibula and tibula is quite impressive.
Our first Darwin Award winner. Well done, done, Ava Benega. We've already had Lacazette beefing with wasps, but this one features another entry from the animal kingdom.
Grand! Oh my god, he was injured by a charging moose in a forest.
Technically, it wasn't the moose that injured him, unfortunately, but still, the moose caused the injury.
He stumbled across a sleeping moose. That's amazing.
The angry moose did not hesitate and charged immediately. That's what I like to see. I don't want to see hesitation in my attackers. But yeah, he turned and ran and dived off the edge of a steep hill and rolled away from said moose, and that's when he injured himself. On the way down the hill, he managed to cut his leg. How do you just stumble upon a moose? Like, moose are fucking huge.
Yeah, but mate, if he's going for that PB...
Maybe he was just so full of adrenaline he tried to, like, leap over the moose and just completely stacked it. I want to say truly inspired, but I'm not sure it quite breaks into it.
I don't think it qualifies as that. I would go oof.
Okay, we're going back to the 70s with this one. We got ex-Man U keeper Alex Stepney, and this one will have you asking, what were you doing, Stepney? No, we're not. I absolutely love the headline for this one.
Man United goalkeeper managed to dislocate his jaw while shouting at defenders.
Doesn't it just fill you with, like, Brexit pride?
Yeah, that really fills me with happiness.
Yeah, apparently he'd been flattened by a bloke called Bob Hatton previously in the game, and that's probably what hurt his jaw, and then it was the shouting afterwards that actually dislocated it. It would have been a lot funnier if the jaw just came out while screaming at the defence, but could have been glorious, is still kind of funny.
I think truly inspired for that one, purely for the context of it. It's fantastic.
So our next incident features a man called Sasha Bender. This photo is not Sasha Bender because after a good 10 minutes of Googling, I couldn't find a single photo of this man online. So this man is Christian Okpala, and you will see why.
Bender, while playing for Stuttgart Kickers, suffered a nasty facial contusion after being punched in the face during a game by teammate Christian Okpala, who explained his violent outburst after the game. He provoked me by farting all the time.
Now that's a new one. Does he go to Christian before every game? He's like, hey, had tikka masala last night.
Hits him with the old Dutch oven when they're staying at team hotels.
Where do we think Sasha Bender's going?
I'd go silly sausage.
So next up we have Darren Barnard and another altercation involving an animal.
Barnsley midfielder slipped on a puddle of puppy urine in his kitchen, causing him to tear a knee ligament that kept him out for play for 5 months. How much piss was there? Fucking hell.
Yeah, that's almost as long as Ava Benega was out for breaking his leg in 2 places. I love the wording of this. On a day when Darren Barnard wasn't so adept on his feet, if he just had a bit better footwork, do you think he would have survived this? I think that could be an oof, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just a bit stupid, isn't it?
This man is called David Beesant. Let's see what he did, shall we?
Back in 1993, Dave Beesant dropped a giant jar of salad cream and instinctively tried to save it by flinging his foot at the jar.
The jar then shattered into 1,000 pieces, one of which ended up severing a tendon in his foot, forcing him out for 8 weeks. I also do that all the time. Normally it's when I drop a knife or something. My instinctive reaction is just how's he touch, when that's probably not good life advice.
I used to do it with Smudge all the time.
So that's why she got him. I also read that it was a 2-kilogram jar of salad cream. Like, who needs 2 kilograms of salad cream? That's like grounds for a hard drive sweep.
I think I would probably say silly sausage for that one.
So we're on to the final incident now, and I think this could be the greatest injury in football history. This man is called Ivano Bonetti. Should we see what happened and then come back to this photo with a bit more context?
Bonetti was somewhat of a fan favourite at Grimsby after paying half of his own £100,000 transfer fee to move from Torino to Blundell Park in 1995. Wow, what a cult hero. Bonetti obviously wasn't held in such high regard by then manager Brian Laws, who blamed the Italian for not pulling his weight during a 3-2 defeat at Luton and duly hurled a plate of chicken wings at his head. Bonetti was left prostrate on the dressing room floor with a fractured cheekbone to boot. Oh my god.
Firstly, this man paid £50,000 of his own money to move from Torino to Grimsby.
And that was before the head injury.
You've heard of water bottles being thrown across the room, but a plate of chicken wings.
Back in 1996, this was probably just a standard team talk from a manager. This is the sort of era that forged Neil Warnock, you know.
Do you reckon the rest of the Grimsby players just like descended on the chicken wings like Carrion as soon as they went scattering across the room? The 5-second rule was in play as soon as the plate had gone. Yeah, if we go back to the photo, this gives me Theon Greyjoy stood next to Ramsay Bolton vibes.
I still don't think that's top tier. I think that's probably truly inspired. I still think Eva Benega's double leg break by forgetting to put the handbrake on is more impressive to me.
We've got one forgettable, one Darwin Award, and then everything else is kind of middle ground.
I quite like that though. The poor lad that's unforgettable. But yeah, I think Eva Benega takes the victory for me.
I feel like this was quite fun because a lot of these incidents and players are quite niche, and yeah, people might not know about a lot of these, so it's nice to be able to bring some of these to light.
Yeah, I'm sure Dan Burn's going to love the fact now that 300,000 more people know that he's missing a finger.